Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered here this evening to celebrate this incredible and inspiring fitness journey of Air Marshal PV Iyer and talk about his book, Fit at Any Age. Air Marshal Iyer embarked on his fitness journey when he was 47 years old, a journey that enabled him to run more than 120,000 kilometers, including several marathon races and an ultra from Agra to Delhi, a distance of 240 kilometers. Presently, at the age of 93, he continues to run 8 kilometers a day and works out in the gym 5 days in a week. Air Marshal Iyer's fitness journey is an inspiration to everyone, young or old. Most people think being fit requires hours of working out in the gym. Air Marshal Iyer tells us how we can make fitness part of our everyday activities at any age, leaving sufficient time for leisure. And most importantly, he tells us that it is never too late to learn new habits. I would like to request Mr. Krishan Chopra, Editor-in-Chief of Bloomsbury India, to address the audience.
Hi, evening folks, distinguished guests. A warm welcome from Bloomsbury. Vrinda has already said the main points, but I'll just add on a little bit. We are delighted to have you all over here and delighted to publish the book. There are some interesting facets to the book. So we are very proud to have one of the oldest authors in our list, and also delighted that it's such a good book. Anybody who opens the book will corroborate that. So I'm not saying it just for the sake of. It is a very readable book full of anecdotes. But there are many reasons to be delighted with this book. Air Marshal Iyer may be 93 now, and he was 92 when he wrote the book. But his viewpoint is that of a youngster. But the main thing that appealed to me, and every time that happens, I think I open the book, and I think anybody else also opens the book, that you want to go out and start implementing what he's suggesting, because it seems so easy. You want to get up and go for a jog, go for a walk, do something, anything. It's a great reminder. And also, of course, when you start reading the book, you tend to go on reading, because there are so many interesting stories over there also. The other thing is, it is born of his personal experience. He's not borrowed stuff from other places. So it is suited to what you encounter when you go out, say if you are jogging on an Indian street or walking, or of a certain age in India, etc. It is related to your own lifestyle and experience. So you can make out that this is, and given his age, there is a lot of depth that is, of course, coming into these observations. There are many important points he makes along the way, mainly 3 points. One, whether you are in your 50s, 60s or more, it doesn't matter the age. It's a very important message really, which we tend to take for granted. You can be healthy and fit at any age. So it's never too late to start. That is a very important thing, because I think you encounter it all the time in your own life. People just tend to give up, oh, I'm 60, I'm a senior citizen or whatever, and I can't do this or that. In fact, the older we get is another point he makes. The more important it is that we stay fit, and the more we value the time that we have got, we value life even more. So when we go to the doctor, we may be old, but sometimes doctor says, oh, you are aged, so you maybe live with your osteoarthritis or whatever. And that's not really the something that we need to accept. We need to try and take care of it and be able to live more actively. So it is not acceptance of ailments, it is trying to find a cure. Another is a great reminder of just how much potential we all have to be fit. And he makes a very good analogy also. He draws a parallel between a human being and animals across the spectrum who have got different levels of competence, right from the cheetah to, a shark. So actually, it's the humans who come out the leaders in this whole gamut of creatures. The cheetah can run very fast, but it can only sprint for a couple of minutes before it, overheats, sort of. And an elephant may have a lot of stamina, etc., and be able to, or a shark may be able to swim long distances and so on. But overall, it is the human being who has the greatest stamina, and it's only a human being who can, and it's a proven fact, run for days on end. So these are the ultra marathoners who can actually continue for several days without stopping. These are great examples. There will be much more of discussion, so this is just an introductory thing from me. But I would say, and the examples are, the benefits are very obvious. One other important is, of course, it builds up your resistance to be able to, if you are exercising, you have much more resistance for whatever comes up. And it is very important if you have a career or a job or you are trying to do certain things to be very fit. The only other point I would add is, it is a very useful book, and I'm not saying it just because of the occasion. And if you happen to find something else that is also useful, please go for it. But if you do pick up this book, and it is very useful, pick it up for somebody whom you value also, you want to remind. Read out to them from the book, maybe a few chosen paragraphs. Present the book to them if they are going to read. In whatever form, etc., make them aware. It is a very useful gift to give to anybody. So on that note, I would ask Shekhar to take charge. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I would like to introduce you to our esteemed panelists. We are pleased to have with us this evening Mr. Rajiv Mehrishi, Mr. Shekhar Gupta, and Air Marshal PV Iyer. Mr. Rajiv Mehrishi is an IAS officer of the 1978 batch, was the 13th Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and Vice Chairman of United Nations Panel of External Affairs. He was appointed the Home Secretary of India on 31st August 2015. Prior to his appointment as the Home Secretary, he was the Finance Secretary, and before that, he was the Chief Secretary of Rajasthan. Mr. Mehrishi has also published widely on public finance and matters related to the Indian economy. Mr. Shekhar Gupta, the founder and editor-in-chief of ThePrint, is a prolific columnist with his highly influential weekly column, National Interest, which is translated into 5 languages. He also has a daily YouTube show called Cut the Clutter, and twice a month hosts eminent guests on Off the Cuff, a marquee event by ThePrint. Mr. Shekhar Gupta is also a recipient of the Padma Bhushan, has reported on key Indian and international events, including Assam's Nellie Massacre, Operation Blue Star, the student uprising in Beijing's Tiananmen Square, and the fall of Berlin Wall, and Sri Lanka's troubled decade of 1983 to 1993. I extend a very warm welcome to our esteemed panelists. I would now hand over to Mr. Shekhar Gupta for a discussion on the book, Fit at Any Age.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Air Marshal Iyer, for writing this wonderful book and making us all feel lousy about ourselves, right? But I mean, if you take an optimistic view, it's also a reminder to all of us that there is still hope. Because you say there is still hope, you can start at any age.
That's the title of the book itself says that.
Yes, you can start at any age. So maybe we'll do this on an optimistic note, and then go ahead and eat our gulab jamuns after this. So before we get started in the discussion, why don't I give the floor for 5 minutes to you, sir?
Sure.
And tell us a little bit about what made you think of writing this. You do this 5 days a week. Is it just to tell your story? Is it to inspire others? Did you have an epiphany that you should write something like this? What started it, and what are you trying to achieve through this? Because you've achieved so much in your life.
Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you, panelists and all respected guests, defense service people who have come in large numbers. Thank you. I must start by saying that I'm a bit of an expert on pension because almost 40 years I've been drawing pension after retirement. Government, young people may not know, but government servants who have retired, they know about pension. They know that every year you got to get a life certificate because you can get pension only if you are alive. So you go every year in the month of November, that is this month. So I presented myself last week to my bank manager. He looked at me suspiciously because he saw 93 years. So, but actually his worry was not so much that, whether I am impersonating somebody else. He knew, of course, I was alive. See, the biggest quality of a bank manager is a nose for fraud. Right. He should smell fraud several yards away. So he was wondering whether I am representing something else. I said no. But I knew very clearly what he was thinking, that what will happen next November, whether I'll be in the list or I'll be struck off. I certainly propose to live a few more years. You see, when you have got plans also what to do for the next, I may even write another book and release it to the unsuspecting public.
I think that deserves an applause.
Provided old Krishan approves the book, because Meenakshi, his business manager, she must make sure that if this particular book sells, then only they'll think of another book. So I'm worried, but she doesn't let out any secrets, how many books have been sold, and I also don't ask her because I don't want to be depressed. Having said that, why I brought up this subject was because when you are young, you don't worry too much about old age. I got married very young. I was 24. My wife was just a few months younger. We were traveling from my hometown, Calicut, to Chennai, and someone entered the compartment and said they will look at our palms and predict what will happen to us. He was a palmist. He said that we will all have good health, both of us, till the age of 60. We were terribly happy. 60 seemed so far away. We were in our 20s. But when 60 started approaching, we said you would like to live another 30 or 40 years. So it goes on like that. Everyone wants to live long life. So what is the secret of that? Fitness. Because if you are fit, more chances that you will live longer. Between two people, one is more fit, you expect statistically that person to live longer. So having said that, just a few words about what is fitness. Can I spend a couple of minutes? Or
Sure, sir.
Yeah. There's one Dr. Kenneth Cooper who wrote a book on aerobics about 50, 60 years ago. The essence of fitness is a sound heart. If our heart is working well, it pumps blood to every single part of the body, every organ. And all these organs will function properly, so long as they get their blood. So the essence of fitness is a good heart. So the question arises, how do you keep the heart healthy? Simple, by making it work harder. It may seem strange and counter to logic that an organ will work better if it is made to work harder, but that is the actual scientific fact. You make the heart work harder, and like any other muscle, it will become stronger. So the next question is, how do you make the heart work harder? Move your legs. This is the mantra that I have mentioned in the book, and that is one single most important advice. Our legs have got the maximum number of muscles and bones, and when we move our legs, the legs demand more oxygen, and the heart has to pump harder and faster to supply that blood. So anything that makes the legs move, walking, jogging, running, cycling, swimming, climbing, treadmill, aerobic dancing, anything at all. So long as your legs work, you are working towards your fitness. But you may ask, we all walk, we all use our legs every day, so we all should be fit. But there is a rider to it. The work should be continuously for at least 25 minutes. The heart should be working at a high rate. So housework we do, we go shopping, we go to work. That's all good, no doubt. But technically, if you want to be fit, 25 minutes of hard work. And what hard work? You decide for yourself, depending on your own individual fitness. There's a game they play in the managers' schools. They assemble the students, and the instructor keeps a bucket in one corner of the room and gives a ball to the students. Throw the ball into the bucket. He doesn't tell where to stand. So each student, some people go very near the basket and throw it easily into it. So very happy. Other people stand very far away and they try to throw. They miss it, but they know that they can't be expected to throw it because they are too far away. But there are some people who stand at a challenging distance, say 8 yards or 10 yards or something. There's a good chance they can throw it provided they are careful. So like that, you choose your own effort, how much you can do, and work at it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I think many of us who've had parents who were in government service and retired have stories about pensions. So my late father's favorite one was he didn't go to collect his pension the previous year from Haryana government. And he had to submit what you said is survivance certificate. Government of India has its own use of English language. So he was also asked for the previous year's certificate. and the guy disbursing the pension said, how will I account for last year's pension? So my father said कि अगर मैं मर के जिंदा हो गया होता तो pension लेने थोड़ा आता. So pension is serious subject. Rajiv, what should it make people like you and I feel? Because you and I are about the same age.
So, as you can see, I am perhaps not the best advertisement for fitness. But, there is, frankly, I have also, like Iyer uncle, not missed a day's exercise. So whatever I do, whether I play golf or I cycle, I really...
Golf is not exercise.
It is, sir. A little bit. Okay. So at least it's bending and walking. So one lesson, I draw many lessons from this book and I have them jotted down here. But one lesson that really comes home is that there is no magic pill to being fit. Like in other aspects of life, you have to be at it all the time and you have to be at it consistently. Whether you are inconsistent or you are looking for a magic pill, you are not going to be able to succeed in remaining fit. The other great message that comes out in the book is that if you want to be mentally alert and mentally fit, then you have to be physically fit. So I think this is for you and me both relevant, that we can't do it off and on. There is no magic pill, there is no magic food, and there is no magic diet. And secondly, that if you want to really not get Alzheimer's or not get dementia, etc. in old age, then we also need to keep physically fit. Because as Iyer uncle points out in the book, that we all age inevitably, but let's age in fitness. Let's not age when being unhealthy.
So fitness, can an adherence to fitness culture help you beat genetics, do you think? For example, lots of diseases run in the genes, in the DNA. Heart, for example, diabetes, hypertension, because one of the strongest risk factors is family history. So can Can adherence to fitness culture help you buck that?
To a certain extent, because as I said, the best way we can hope to keep an organ functioning properly, the least we can do is to fill it with oxygenated blood all the time. Then there's a good chance that organ will function well. If it doesn't get, then obviously you're not in good shape. So to that extent, if you make your heart strong, in other words, if you are fit, according to the aerobic theory or the cardiovascular theory, heart function well, you breathe in good oxygen, pump it through the blood vessels are clear of debris, because when the blood goes fast through the vessels, they tend to clear up the blood vessels also. So there's a good chance that the best way to beat congenital or other problems, genes, it is because of this. After all, we have got very good genes, all of us. Our prehistoric ancestors, those who used to live in the caves, they had to run every day to run away from danger, other animals, or to hunt for food. All the time they have been running. And by such running, they develop strong heart, legs and muscles. These genes is each and every one of us. Once you discover it, if you try to run yourself. I was at 47 years when I didn't have any previous interest or experience, especially in running. Of course, as an Air Force officer, I was fit, but nothing to do with what actually fitness meant. The Air Force introduced a new policy saying that you should run a mile in less than 7 minutes, depending on age. So we all started running. And suddenly we realized that there is so much strength in us. It is there. So this prehistoric ancestors' genes is each and every one of us.
Sir, in the book where you talk about home gym, you also place a lot of emphasis on strength training. You say some dumbbells, TheraBands, things like that. So how much importance have you given to strength training? And of course, we've seen your legendary pictures of pulling your weight up.
Yeah, in the domain of fitness, strength is a force multiplier. You need strength for so many things. In fact, to use your legs, you need strength, otherwise you can't move your legs. You need strength for stability. You need strength for keeping the metabolic rate high so that you don't put on weight. You need strength for balance. You need strength for speed. But scientific community knows our strength starts reducing from the age of 30. You may be surprised. After 30 years, you're on the decline. Every decade, you lose 10% of your strength, so that if you don't do anything about it, by the time you are 50 or 60, you have lost half your strength. But you can keep this loss of strength under check by working out. It's very, very important. Next to cardiovascular fitness, I would rate strength as a very important part.
Sir, for you it's easy to say that, in Hindi there is a saying, जात ना पूछो साधु की, है ना? तो ये भी कह सकते हैं कि एज ना पूछो फौजी की, right? So Air Force ने बोला आपको कि run for a mile. But what do people like you, Rajiv, who have a busy long day, who are also in the government, but at least your service, whatever else UPSC teaches you to do, maybe they teach you to ride horses at Mussoorie a couple of times, but do other services teach you something about fitness, or you can just get by being the way you are?
Well, actually, in the academy, the only thing you make us do is morning PT, really. So that they leave you after that. And that PT is a very light regimen because it must suit everybody. But I think a lot of us do realize very early on in life that if we have to function in office for long hours, then there is no way except to also be physically and mentally alert. But, on the topic that you were just picking up on defeating genes and strength training, Shekhar, Iyer uncle writes very interestingly about the importance of flexibility in the body. And that's often a very underrated, sort of requirement that a body has. Actually, there's a classmate of mine, also in the Air Force, also retired, also runs 10, 20 kilometers a day, very, very, very fit. And he's a doctor from AFMC, and he says that, if I were to spell longevity, I would spell it FLEXIBILITY. So flexibility is a very important part, and that can only come if you do strength training.
Strength training and stretching and वैसे एक बात है flexibility in Latins daily तो spinal flexibility तो बहुत easily available होती है that isn't such a problem but that's a different kind of flexibility and that doesn't spare my profession either so I'm not cocking a snook at others I think that's how it happens. So all these people can you make a guess in terms of how many of them are actually, just run your eye around the room, how many of them actually do something for fitness?
I think quite a lot, in fact, the majority. First of all, otherwise they won't be coming here. They are interested in fitness. So that itself is a good sign. Of course, there are hazards of fitness. When you're super fit, certain things happen to your body. For example, your pulse rate comes down from normal 72, 60, 50. At one time, mine used to be 38. Can you imagine? In fact,
that's lower than George Bush. George Bush used to be famously 42.
I was
junior George Bush, not senior.
Once in Nagpur, my mother-in-law was admitted in the hospital there. So I'd gone to look her up. She was sleeping. So I said, I'll also rest. I get up early in the morning at 4 o'clock and run. So there was a room next, it was invitingly empty and there was a bed. And I slept there for some time. Suddenly I woke up, somebody had put a thermometer in my mouth. And one nurse was standing next to me and checking my pulse. Suddenly she let out a scream, low pulse, low pulse. She rang the alarm bell. A stretcher came, couple of doctors. And they tied me up. I tried to tell them that I am a visitor here. I'm a super fit person. But who is there to listen? So eventually I called the senior doctor and he seemed to be a sensible person. I said, look, I'm a long distance runner. It's my normal pulse. He understood and let me go. So you have to be careful about your fitness.
The pulse as well as the breathing rate. The lower the breathing rate, the better.
Heart rate, breathing rate. For example, 8 or 7 per minute is the breathing respiratory rate, heart rate naturally.
So I do remember I did once go to a yoga teacher. In fact, Arun Shourie told me once, we speak in Punjabi, and he said that, you're running the express, then blood pressure ho jana hai, to yoga teaching, yoga vaste ja. So he sent me to his yoga teacher in Chennai, Mr. Desikachar, who unfortunately is no more now. And he has very gentle yoga. And among the things he said, we yogis have believed that every human being comes with a certain number of breaths allocated to him. So you can be unfit and finish all your entire quota of your breaths in 20 years, or you can be super fit and take 100 years doing it. And pranayama is a way of slowing your breath rate. So it's true. I think most people don't realize that a lower pulse rate and a lower breathing rate, pulse rate is the same as heart rate, is actually a sign of fitness. Rajiv, do you have a question to ask him?
Not really, because I've known Uncle Iyer in the family for some time, and they're extremely affectionate and good people, and if you meet an Iyer, then you can be guaranteed that there'll be sincerity dripping out of them. So I really don't have a question for them. I had one in the evening today, and that was earlier in the afternoon today, and that was if he's going to be in Delhi long enough to share a drink with me.
and when that happens, can others also get trash? So what's your daily routine like, and what do you eat, and what do you not eat? And what do you drink? And don't tell us what you don't drink.
I live a very normal life, except for this business of working out in the morning, an hour and a half these days. Very slow because I got osteoarthritis of the knee. So that prevents me from jogging fast. But I get around, I do about 7-8 kilometers in about 2 hours. That's good enough to keep me fit. I have devised a fashion, my own home gym, because I don't go to the gym anymore after the COVID pandemic. So I got minimum number of dumbbells and anklets, weighted anklets. I got a weighted belt, 5 kilo belt. I got bands on which I can pull down and try to do pull-ups. Earlier you mentioned about fitness for people who are not used to fitness. One important point which I have brought out, in fact, fit at any age is the subject. What happens is, supposing a person who is very fit, he doesn't work out for 2 or 3 months for some reason. Say he had a leg injury and he was put on a cast. You will see after 2 months, half his muscles are wasted away. Inactivity completely destroys the muscles. Fortunately, the opposite is also true. If you are not used to any fitness regime, you start a fitness activity, within 3 months, you will be as fit as the next man, because the heart functions better, the blood vessels become cleaner, and the organs start getting better supply of oxygenated blood. So that is why I said you can be fit at any age.
Sir, you didn't tell us what you eat and what you not eat.
Okay. I'm a vegetarian. I eat normal South Indian food, vegetables. My daughter, Indira, she has done a great deal of research on food. She has turned a vegan. Vegan means not only vegetarian, but no milk or milk products also. That is the latest trend. Wherever you go, it's becoming more popular. They say that milk is meant for the calf to become from 0 to 80 kgs in 1 year's time. You can't afford to drink so much milk. What will you do with it? So that is the theory. I don't know. But what I can say, as you said, there is no magic food which will make you fit. But if you are missing out on any component of food, you are going to be in trouble. So you have to use your common sense, wide variety of vegetables. If tomorrow the scientists discover a new mineral, it's already there in some vegetable or other. You don't have to worry about it. So long as you have got a wide variety of food, the pediatricians say that after 6 months, a baby should be given anything and everything that the adults eat. So don't miss out on any component of food. That's what.
And have you taken any supplements? Vitamin supplements?
No supplement except a drink. I normally have a drink every evening.
And what do you drink, sir?
Whiskey. Somebody asked me, do you want whiskey or soda? I said, of course, whiskey.
Whiskey with soda or water or ice?
That's what he asked. I said, of course, whiskey. Whiskey and soda, that's what I think.
Yeah. So which is your favorite whiskey?
Nowadays...
At least this is not Gujarat, so we can have this discussion.
Nowadays, Rajiv has introduced me to a drink called Blue Label.
Right.
Whiskey, Johnny Walker. It costs 28,000 rupees, one bottle. A nephew of mine, kind person, brought from US. It's $400 it cost him. I brought him without spilling to Delhi, hoping some friends will join me in eating it.
So, not just Gujarat, I hope it, I'm also happy this is not Bihar, because these days it can be more fraught in Bihar to talk about whiskey. Although I'm sure पीने वालों को पीने का बहाना चाहिए, वो कर लेते हैं अपना जो करना होता है. Rajiv, you have the next question for him, and then we'll throw it to the audience.
No, I don't have a question, as I said, for him, but I would like to, the quotation that I liked best in the book, I'd like to just...
Why don't you have a lot of the
No,
book marked, so mention a couple of highlights.
So, one is that we all heard of the phrase or the little thing which says that an empty mind is a devil's workshop. So, Uncle Iyer has turned it around to say that similarly, an idle body is a devil's den. So
yeah, that is coined by me, just to say that the worst thing that you can do is doing nothing. Move, whatever the reason, just move. Even if you are just sitting in an aircraft and traveling, move your legs, extend them, relax them. It is so important to keep moving and the blood coursing through your body. So that's what I have said. It's correct.
And of course, the other aspect of the book, which is very interesting, is how he always, when he was traveling by train, and of course earlier years before we all got used to airplanes, there was a lot of train travel that we all did. At every stop, which was 20 minutes or more, he would actually run on the platform. So and sometimes run within the compartment. It wasn't a long enough stop.
That's literally true, because there's a sketch there which shows a person running in the platform because that is the only thing you can do when you're traveling. Those days, Delhi to Madras used to take 48 hours almost. Then what do you do if you want to be fit? So that's what I used to do. This is one is a weighted belt.
Weighted belt.
But the other one, I'll just show you the person running on the platform, and to the amusement and wonder of the dogs.
Well, I think dogs can get more interested than that, than just being amused, yes.
Wow.
Rajiv, mention some more. You have some listed.
I think we should wind up actually.
No. Mention some more.
So, I've said most of the things. I've told you about physical and mental health, and the fact that you can start at any age, never too late, been discussed, title of the book. Basically this relationship or activity with every aspect of your being, so to speak. So unless you are physically active, your heart will not work, and therefore your kidneys might give way or something unrelated. Similarly, your muscles will atrophy, as you were just saying. So every aspect of life, and that's explained very well by him in the book somewhere. He points out the 5 or 6 elements of what happens if you don't do physical activity. And that includes, mental alertness and generally a feeling of being well, a feeling of being energetic throughout the day. And I think all of us know this, that if you have got your morning exercise, then you don't tire as easily as you tire when you haven't done your morning exercise. As I told you, it's about, you were asking about eating habits. So he explains them quite well in the book, and again what he just briefly said, that basically eat a diet rich in fiber, well balanced, vegetables and fruits. He's also been occasionally a meat eater, and that also he says is okay at times. So basically a balanced diet without, I think one thing that a lesson that we all need to take home, and I say it for the 3rd time, is that whether it's exercise or it's food, let's not go for fads. He stresses that repeatedly, and that's, I think, a mistake that a larger portion of this world is doing today. So you keep hearing of keto diets and this diet and that diet, and none of this is going to help. What is going to help is, as he again says in his words, pounding the street repeatedly for hundreds and thousands of kilometers.
You hear this advertisements, blood purifiers, for example.
Right.
Sufi or Safi or whatever.
Safi, yes.
You must use our own common sense, you see. Does our blood need some purification?
Yes.
Of course it does. Because the protein synthesis, there is always, you get creatinine, urea, they are all created. They have to be removed from the blood, otherwise you won't survive more than a few days. But we've got a great organ called the kidneys. It is meant to remove all these toxic products. There's another great organ called the liver, which is supposed to remove all the alcohol that we drink. If it didn't go through the portal vein and through the liver, it will go straight to the brain, and that's not at all a good thing. So all these organs are already provided by God. Use our common sense. You see somebody, new car, one model is driving it, so it becomes a good car. Look at the suspension, look at the brakes, look at other things. Use your own God-given common sense.
Sir, I see the audience, the Air Force has turned out in strength. I see in solidarity, the Navy is also there. So to that, even Army, I thought maybe that we were a little bit short on the joint manship area, because the Army was sort of inadequately represented, which is not the case in real life, but the case here. So I think they'd like to hear some stories from you, from your life in the Air Force. Some standout stories that are unforgettable.
One was a great run we had from Agra to Delhi. It was to celebrate the Air Force Day, which falls on the 8th of October. So we started off, it was a part of an Air Force adventure activity.
That's Air Force Day for the...
Yes, 8th October, Air Force Day every year. I was an Air Marshal at that time, about 55 years old. I organized a group of about 300 young people, Army, Navy, Air Force, civilians. There was one Ranjit Bhatia, who was
he was a marathoner.
No, he was at 10,000 meters Rome Olympics.
Yes.
Dave Lahiri, who was a teacher in Doon School. These people joined me. There's a girl called Asha Agarwal. She was a national marathon champion. She ran with us. So we ran for 2.5 days. We started from Agra. We were flagged off, 300 of us. About 200 had to drop off due to lack of training. They were picked up. But when we eventually landed in Palam Air Force, Air Chief Marshal LaFontaine was the chief. He received us, and it was great fun. In between evening halt, we used to have some music and some fun and all that. It was a great, interesting experience. Another thing I want to say about genes, you said, is, see, we can do fitness work, but God has to be kind to us, and we must have good genes. That helps a lot. There's a famous joke about a gentleman who was celebrating his 100th birthday. He had called the media and all that. They asked him, what is the secret of your long life? He said, I am very disciplined. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I work out every day. Limited food. When he was telling all this, there was huge merrymaking from another flat upstairs. The media asked, what is that? He said, oh, that is my elder brother. He is 102 years, he is celebrating today. He drinks every day, he smokes, he has got parties. So some bit of luck is also there.
But sir, when I said some standout memories from your service-related memories.
Yeah. So I talked about the Agra Delhi run. Then I used to run in the Gondwana Hills in Nagpur. So dark, cold mornings in the hills. Suddenly I was running in the middle of the road at 4 o'clock in the morning. I hit straight into a buffalo. I don't know whether the buffalo was more surprised or me. I didn't wait to apologize, but I'm just saying these things happen, little hazards here and there. Another occasion I was Air Force Avadi. My 2 daughters were getting married within 2 days of each other. And I will stay at Avadi station. The wedding was in Chennai. We will drive down 20 kilometers, but before that, I will finish my morning run 4 o'clock. And I encountered a snake early morning running in rocky areas. So nothing like a snake to increase your knee lift and you run faster. So these things happen.
In fact, I think a lot of people saw it. It was on social media. Somebody had posted a video of a snake that crawled into a village, and for some reason picked up a chappal and took it away. So somebody posted with a comment saying, "But what do you need a chappal for? You haven't got any feet." But for some reason the chappal caught the snake's fancy, so it took. So we have this wonderful audience. We can take questions from you. Raise your hand. Tell us who you are and ask the.
I'm Dr. Gupta. I want to ask, do you support a vegan lifestyle?
I do.
So, but
That is the thinking these days.
are you a vegan?
No, I'm not. But my daughter is.
I see.
She is trying to persuade everybody else.
Unsuccessful.
Well, all I can tell you is that, if you are turning vegan so that the calf would get all the milk, you realize that if milk is not an a cow is or a buffalo is not an economic proposition, then why would people rear them and no calves will be born? So then the bovine species will go extinct very fast, and that's my sort of free markets answer. Sir, in the back. And, okay, you have the microphone.
Sir, you said that you have this problem of osteoarthritis. What is your advice? Do you consider a lot of people going for complete knee transplant? Do you advise that?
There are three or four things we can do to help ourselves. Keep the leg muscles strong. The upper leg muscles, the quadriceps, the hamstrings, the muscles, lower tibial muscles. Keep them all strong by anklet exercise, etc. That is the first and foremost. Then you won't have any pain. Even though my knee is bone to bone, I have no pain at all because the muscles I have kept very strong. Number two, stretch as much as possible before and after run, all your knee joints. Third is try and run on soft surfaces instead of hard surfaces. Fourth is never ever give up movement. Don't rest. That is the last thing you should do. These are the four advices.
Sir, and then gentleman in the back.
Yeah. Sir.
Sir, aapka.
Thank you. Sir, I'm Commander RSA ex-Navy, for the information of all services guys. Very, very thankful for your guidance and all that. I just have one question, or your suggestion required. For those people who are in office, now what happens is that a lot of our people are in office, they have no chance to do their workout, or some workout, which, as you said, is a must. So even in the office, do you recommend some sort of exercise which can be done by them to strengthen themselves even though they don't have to go out? That is my request.
There are two answers to this question. The first is, I saw a senior police officer in Madras standing and working on a podium instead of sitting down. To that extent, he is making his muscles move, little bit extra movement. And the other answer is that we in our Air Force squadrons and other units, we got attached to gym these days. It's encouraged, and people, even if they can get 15 or 20 minutes, they can go out and work out. This is my suggestion.
मेरे पास ये 4 मिनट की एक्सरसाइज है, आप घर में कभी भी कर सकते हैं विद म्यूजिक। 4 मिनट में उसमें 7 महीने से मेरी 70 साल की जर्नी आ जाएगी।
क्या बात।
टोटल आ जाएगी, बचपन भी।
सर, आप भी उस पर एक किताब लिख दीजिए और एक उस पर एक यूट्यूब वीडियो बना दीजिए, तो वायरल हो जाएगा।
नहीं, वायरल करो ना करो, मेरा नाम है राकेश कुमार गुलाटी। मैंने 60 के बाद नाम को लिख दिया दादू राकेश हैप्पीनेस गुलाटी। फ्री में हैप्पीनेस आती है, और 4 मिनट की डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन कोई भी कर सकता है। मैंने कोरोना में निकाली, मेरा यूट्यूब चैनल भी है हैप्पीनेस गुलाटी के नाम से।
बिल्कुल जी।
5 मिनट में आपको एनर्जी, मैं अगर मेरे को 4 मिनट देंगे
सर, अभी
सबके नहीं एक लास्ट में कह रहा हूँ, सबके अंदर जो मेरी एनर्जी होगी वो ट्रांसमिट हो जाएगी और मेरा हार्ट बाहर आएगा और सबको दिखेगा।
क्या बात है जी। अब सब हैप्पीनेस गुलाटी, आप इनका यूट्यूब देखिएगा और उसके बाद उनको रिस्पॉन्ड कीजिएगा और क्या कहते हैं, लाइक कीजिएगा और शेयर कीजिएगा प्लीज़।
let me address the elephant in the room. As you said, we are not sitting in Gujarat or we are not sitting in Bihar, so we can talk about many things. So my question is, what is the connection between libido and fitness?
I suppose it's closely related. You have to be fit to have appropriate libido. Where is the doubt?
So I don't think on this there'll be any objection in Gujarat or in Bihar either. Sir, आपको पहले पीछे in the back because लोग पीछे रह जाते हैं. And then next this gentleman here, Mr. Dudeja. हाँ जी.
Sir, nowadays,
sir, question
is how much pollution is affecting the health, and what is the solution against the parali, which is burnt in the neighboring states, and it increases pollution to great extent, and how it is affecting?
No, he's saying pollution, and also he's saying that burning of paddy stubble in neighboring states adds to pollution.
Normal human beings who are not particularly enthusiastic about exercise, they themselves suffer to a great extent due to pollution. But if you are an exercise enthusiast, and if you are jogging or walking, and you certainly need some protection from the air quality, especially when it is 300 plus and all that. Even much before COVID, I used to stay with my son here in Motibag, and I used to jog in the morning with a N95 mask on, because especially the lungs of a runner or a walker, it just needs lots of air, and if that air is polluted with particulate matter, you are going to be in serious trouble. So without doubt, you must wear a mask when you are out, even if you are going for a walk. Inside the house, if you have a machine which gets rid of particulate matter, well and good.
Sir.
Sir, recently few celebrities died in gym and during treadmill exercise. So then there was a saying that person who invented gym and treadmill, they died young age. A person who invented cigar, alcohol, and other KFC, they lived more than 100 years.
That's what.
Elephant and tortoise and hare life is a very different way.
That is true. There is no logic in everything that we see. That is why the world is so interesting.
See, the point is that billions of people are exercising, or at least hundreds of millions of people are exercising. We only get to know when one rare person dies while exercising, and that person happens to be a celebrity. Now then to extrapolate that to mean कि जी ये बहुत dangerous activity है, right? That I think is, but that's what happens because it's a celebrity. It becomes a story. But there are so many.
What about elephant and hare? Elephant lives 100 years and hare lives 10 to 100.
वो miracle हमारे syllabus की बाहर की चीज़ है आज, तो वो मतलब वो थोड़ा उसके लिए बहुत profound समझ वाले लोग चाहिए. तो जगी वासुदेव जब मिलेंगे ना आपको, उनसे पूछिएगा. I'm sure he'll have an answer. Sadhguru. Please go ahead. Wait for the microphone, please. I think they'll be recording it.
Hi, my name is Shibani. So I wanted to know, through your life and your great fitness career, there must have been mornings or days when you were completely demotivated or when there were other challenges that got in the way. So what are those top 3-4 things that you did to keep your discipline intact, to keep that consistency? Because sometimes that gets in the way of my fitness regime. And it's so difficult to keep the consistency. There's a wedding, there's a late night, you have recovered from a cold, or, the family visiting. So what is that message you give yourself to motivate yourself?
Well, Shivani, you told me that you are a marathoner yourself.
Yes.
The sheer inertia of running and the enthusiasm carries you through generally. I have done 120,000 kilometers of running. To put it in context, one marathon is 42 kilometers. 1,000 marathons is 42,000 kilometers. I have done 3 times that. So it does something to your body, you know. The mind is wired in such a fashion that there is no chance or reason not to exercise unless you are actually sick. By God's grace, I have not been sick in that sense. I have not missed out on many days of running. But it is the enthusiasm and the fitness rewards.
Correct.
You look at the rewards of fitness. You get good appetite. You're able to digest your food easily. You sleep well.
You feel healthy.
You get refreshed. You get a shine on your skin, which we were discussing, which no amount of cream or beauty products you can get. Just go out and jog for 10 minutes and look at yourself in the mirror. That kind of, after all, the skin is a reflection of the health of our body. And look at the weight loss that you get. You lose weight, your waist becomes slimmer. By the way, you will have to buy new clothes all the time, every 2 or 3 months. कितना जोखिम का काम है fit रहना देखिए. So then you ward off illnesses. Then you are able to carry on even hard work without difficulty with stamina. These are all bodily requirements and measurable. Mind, your enthusiasm, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your sense of humor. You look at जीवन को हल्के फुल्के दृष्टिकोण से आप देख सकते हैं. Then to learn new things, that desire to learn new things, and the spiritual things, also one or two things I'll mention. Good feeling, camaraderie towards everybody, a concern for people who are less lucky than us, and bad thoughts like jealousy, selfishness, anger, these all go away because God has given us so many good things. Why should we keep bad things in our mind?
So true.
All these things keep me going.
Well, I can tell you, sir, it works both ways. One way you said that you stay fit so you don't have to buy new clothes all the time. The other is you stay fit so that you don't keep growing out of your clothes all the time. One way you say you have to keep buying because it becomes slimmer. So I am very happy that the pair of trousers I am wearing today were bought exactly in 1993, so 30 years back, right? If I wasn't watching my fitness, I would have had to change many pairs of trousers since. Go ahead.
One tip I can give you,
Yeah.
is say no to parties.
I know.
Well, I mean, you know,
usually do.
what's life without parties?
Thank you
I
so
think
much. It's very heartwarming.
We'll take this and then, you know, uniform people, there should be some questions from you.
So, you know, being an engineer, we like to measure everything in anything, you know, there has to be a measurable quotient. So fitness, and without being cynical, when you're 50, there may be one level. So how do you benchmark fitness as you age? You know, now you reached the tender age of 93. So have you sort of set different levels as you aged in terms of your own assessment of fitness?
It's like this. Obviously, we can't do things when we are in the 90s that we could have done earlier, younger age. But our values and attitudes also change. Our approach to fitness changes. When you are young, you look after your children. When you are a little older, you are into grandchildren. In my case, great-grandchildren. Even though they don't let me go near them because I may drop them or something like that. But I had taught swimming to my children and grandchildren. The values keep on changing. I started learning languages. I can speak 9 languages now. That's a lot of languages. All the South Indian languages, Marathi, Hindi, of course, English, and Russian. I was there 3 years as air attaché in Moscow, and French. So many things can keep you busy and happy and interested.
Well, I think it's time that we bring the evening to a close. But before that, so many uniformed people, we can't not have at least one question from you people.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm Wing Commander Tejesh. Sir, I rather have a complaint, sir, wherein what took you so long to write this book, sir?
Well, I wrote a book, a similar book titled Run and Discover Your Strength 40 years ago. Those days, these functions and all were not there. Nobody knew I wrote a book. Things are changing.
So were you still in service when you wrote that book? You
Just
must
I
have
had retired.
Just.
60 years I wrote, and it was published by Tata McGraw-Hill. In fact, these sketches are from that book. With their permission, we are again republishing that.
Yeah, I thought the sketches look quite classy, almost like Lakshman-esque. At least
Yeah, I know.
whoever the artist
Yeah,
was inspired by Lakshman. So I think we should. Any more uniformed questions from uniformed members of the audience? Last chance. All right. Otherwise, we'll.
There's a lady here who wanted to ask me.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah, I was just.
Ma'am, take the microphone.
I was just commenting about the fact that there was so much talk about physical health, and what you have amply demonstrated is your mental health. The spirit and the humor, and how do you relate the two, because one knows they are related, but if you would comment a little on that.
Thank you, ma'am. That's actually a very important question, because what is the use of all this fitness unless you use it? Use it for creative work, for learning things, for learning music, languages, new things. Encourage your children to learn new things. A good education means not only a degree, but knowing one or two extra languages, a concern for poorer people, music, at least one musical instrument, reading, lovely habits like reading is one of the great pleasures of life. You are right, absolutely. All this creativity we can use if and only we are fit. You are quite right there.
So okay, go ahead. That's a granddaughter.
So Tata, so how did you maintain your running and stuff during the tennis tournaments?
Which one?
All the tennis tournaments.
All the tennis tournaments.
I accompanied this girl throughout US, all over, traveling abroad, various other countries. And it was great fun traveling with her. And I used to teach her some Tamil, and we had great fun.
Tara, by the way, played very serious tennis and did
She
serious,
played for India.
Yeah, serious tennis circuits.
Fed Cup. Thank you, sir. Wimbledon too.
Wimbledon too. So I think on this note, we'll bring this to a close.